What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So we are in the mix for our mid-month update, although it feels like we're rolling this September at this point. But Ms. Marvel is going to be our mid-month update, and with that, we basically cap off a whole combat month of August. This is ridiculous. I never thought we would see a whole month where we just got just one class. But you can basically pay attention here. The train scene is pretty much from the Ms. Marvel show. If you don't know what happens there, I don't want to kind of spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it yet, but this is homage to the television show and a whole events that happen inside here. We can basically see that she's got somewhat of a similar costume. She looks a little bit more older in this, but we can see the costume as it pans out and is basically viewing her across the train tracks, and then the train basically goes in front of her. And if you pay close enough attention as the train is going by, I can't remember exactly at which point it is, but I would have to slow this thing down immensely. There it is right there. So you see the T3 basically for Ms. Marvel, and we are getting Ms. Marvel in her T3 uniform. So is this going to be a good thing overall for the character? That's going to be the question. So we got here the note from CM Fragment. This is CM Fragment of Marvel Future Fight. The passionate fan of superheroes has obtained superpowers beyond her wildest dreams. Check out the new look of this superhero whose only limit to her power is her imagination. So a pretty nice call out to the show. I'm surprised that we did get her in T3. Well, I guess I'm not surprised. I thought that we would probably get, especially with this update and it being so centered around Hulk, I thought we would really end up with She-Hulk instead of Hulk. But I guess time between series and shows will more than likely end up with She-Hulk at some point. Marvel Future Fight does a lot to keep in lockstep with the Marvel cinematic universe and Marvel television Disney properties overall. So here we go, Kamala Khan. I know I still got to bring videos for Titania and Absorbing Man, but so we've got Ms. Marvel here. This was her latest uniform that she has here. This wasn't a bad uniform. We've had a couple of other looks, so this was a previous Ms. Marvel, and basically the new uniform is going to be somewhat of an update to this one, but we're going to get more of a reflection of what we got inside the Ms. Marvel television show. This was her Karachi uniform, which is also a callback to the to that train scene, if you understand that purpose of this. I wonder why I've never purchased that uniform. No reason to really purchase it now. But let's take a look at some of this uniform effects. She was basically getting increased basic attacks, 30% HP. This wasn't a bad uniform, to be perfectly honest with you. I want to take a look at the skills real quick, because I'm imagining that these skills are going to have to change a lot. I think, and I want to show you why I say that, mostly because what they did inside the television show for Ms. Marvel's skills was a lot it was pretty different than what we got for than we know Ms. Marvel from, like, inside the Marvel's Avengers game or what we know of Ms. Marvel inside the comic books. She has some more energy based powers inside of the television show than she does inside any of those iterations, where pretty much she was a reflection or a facsimile, somewhat, not necessarily a huge clone, but she was basically like, Mr. Fantastic. So let's take a look at some of the skills. So you can see here, like, this is basically like Mr. Fantastic class stuff, right? Like, she stretches, she can make her body parts larger or smaller. And that was the theme for the Ms. Marvel uniforms overall, right? I remember when they added in this little light post and stuff like that. Those were big things for Spider-Man and a couple of other characters. And you basically got some electrocution, but you can see basically it was all physical attacks that were basically going in there. And that was the Ms. Marvel that we had, right? Like, but the Ms. Marvel that they did inside the Disney show was kind of completely different. She had more energy based powers where she would summon like these uh I don't know, starlight disc is what I'm going to call them. And even her growth had somewhat, it reflected some of those. So I wonder how much of a change in terms of the Ms. Marvel costume, Ms. Marvel, that we got inside the Disney universe versus this are we going to see, because we have seen them do uniforms here recently where they really didn't pay too much homage to the movies. Like I think Moon Knight was the perfect example of that. There wasn't a whole lot there from the Moon Knight series that was placed onto his costume. So what are we expecting to get inside there? I mean, I want to show you guys the stats because this uniform's it's a little while old. So let's take a look at some of the stats on these uniforms. Like 1, there wasn't a whole lot on this skill at all. We can see 2, still there's not a lot on her 1 and 2 skills. Her 3rd skill, she basically had like a frenzy, and you can see like that guards against 8 hits. Like, ugh. We can see like some defense down on her 4th skill, and even her 5th skill, she just basically gets a frenzy buff as well. So there wasn't a whole lot when this uniform basically came, and I cannot remember how long ago the uniform was, but I'm expecting a massive upgrade for the character just simply because of the fact that she is going to be so intrinsically tied to the MCU in terms of she's had the television show, which was outstanding. It was very, very successful. Despite some of the criticism that was levied against it for woke PC culture or whatever, which I didn't quite understand. Like, everything's not freaking woke, and there was nothing about woke about the show. This is a character that was presented in modern times in New fucking Jersey. There was nothing woke about her environment. This was her in her environment, living and doing what she does. But she's also going to be tied to the Marvels movies as well. And like I think you saw the comment inside there, some people were expecting that we would see that update for her maybe getting a T3 or something then, but maybe that means that we'll get a T3 for her now and we'll get a T4 for her later on. The really weird part about T3s as they're currently situated in the game is that I think more players are going to be looking forward to T4 characters than they are going to be looking to T3 characters. So a mid-month that comes in terms of getting a T3, while that's a good thing because they're not just shoving T3s down our throats, this is a good thing. T4s, I mean, down our throats. We get a T3 inside Ms. Marvel. We should see some improvements to her. I don't know if we're going to see any updates to her abilities and leaderships, and that might be one of those things that you have to look at, because obviously we're not going to be utilizing this character in some game modes and forms in the way that she's currently played. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this character is. I really like the way they use this character inside the Marvel's Avengers game. She was centerpiece there. She was centerpiece on the Disney streaming service, and she's going to be center to the Phase 5 plans going forward with the Marvels. I'm dying to see what this character does. Is she going to be the linchpin that for the Marvel universe in terms of that, like AKA the new Peter Parker of the MCU, basically, right? Really looking forward to it. See what we get for T3, and I'll jump in on that when we get it, guys. Until next time, peace.